So my friend Lucas is here, fresh off his European tour. He's in the music industry. This guy has built quite a business. He came to see me in my shop. I got him in the hot seat. I want to ask him a few questions.
Prepare for blast off. Look at this thing. Oh man.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, it's very full body.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess now that I have you in this like relaxed state, be a good time to ask you some questions
Oh,
of
yeah,
what makes
yeah.
you tick.
Mhm.
What makes you tick? So, I mean, the first thing I'd like to know is how do you stay resilient in the face of challenges?
Oh, good question. Ooh, this is hitting. How do I stay resilient? Um, I think it's a mindset, to be honest with you. I've always if I can't get through the front door, I'm gonna get through the back door or the window. Like there's by any means necessary. Like I don't even hear the word no.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's just understand. It's a mindset. If I had to answer that in
Yeah.
a short way, it's just like how I approach things. Like, um, I'm never worried about you know anything other than just getting it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just staying
Yeah.
laser focused on whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish. Oh my. That makes sense.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. Because I feel like what you're saying is like you have a vision and you're just willing to execute it until it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing bothers me in the
Yeah.
middle. You know what I mean? I'm just so laser focused on getting it done. Um, yeah, that's kind of just been my style.
Yeah.
You know?
What what advice would you give anyone starting out? Like if someone wanted to, looked at you and thought, "Wow, this guy's so goals. I want to do what this guy's doing." Like what advice would you give someone just starting out?
Good question. I think, in this day and age too, with the internet and, um, just where technology is and just the amount of information that's available online.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to, it's a bit of a shortcut. It's like you can study people who are doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything,
Yeah.
right? Like if you want to get into my business, like study what I've done, study what like my colleagues have done and understand like their path. I'm not necessarily saying copy them
Yeah.
because the game is it's evolving, it's constantly changing. Um, However, I think, you know, what's that expression? Um, so, an idiot doesn't learn from his mistakes. A smart person learns from their mistakes, and a brilliant person learns from someone else's mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I screwed that up. You know that expression, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think like understanding, yeah, I mean, not everything is, you can't Google everything, but just really like understanding, whatever industry you're in and like knowing who your competition is, studying what they do, I think like just gives you such an edge
Right.
that it's kind of slept
Yeah.
on. People are
Yeah,
missing
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I love that. I love that.
This is nuts.
Isn't it?
Oh my
I
God.
know. So, okay, I want to ask you, what are you most recently proud of?
Most recently proud of?
Mhm.
Well, I was just received my 16th gold certification.
Whoa.
Yeah, man.
That's
Super,
incredible.
super stoked on that. That's been something I've been like becoming pretty obsessed with. Is just getting gold records, and
Yeah.
it's a cool backdrop for Zoom calls.
Oh, of course.
Um,
That's
but
amazing.
yeah, I've just been like really fortunate to work with like so many artists, and that I've had that we've taken to the friggin' moon, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, there's been a lot of different guys that I've worked with, and it's become like my new obsession. It's like, okay, even like when it comes to decision making, like, well, this guy's a gold record. All right, then full steam ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's like really been my focus. Is yeah, filled up the wall.
In your business, do you feel like you have to be the one at times to like inspire your team and like lead by example that way? Like you have to bring the energy because if you don't, no one's gonna bring it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a phenomenal team, and shout out to the guys. But yeah, I think it's my duty to really set the tone.
Yeah.
As far as like, those Monday morning meetings, and setting up a really solid plan and a to-do list for everybody, and just staying on top of it and keeping it positive.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it is, my job as a CEO to set the tone.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think, whatever's happening in your personal life, you leave that at home,
Yeah.
right? And just, bring it, man. Just gotta bring it,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I can only see half your face
Yeah, I know.
most of the time.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna pretend I can see your whole
Well, yeah, because this guy, this camera's
It's just like,
on me.
I see like one eye poking up.
I know. I hope the camera doesn't pick up that thing. So, me being in the self-care industry, I always am very curious to know what people do for self-care. And, men don't really maybe relate to that as well, but I'm going to ask you in a different way. What is your ideal reset button? If your stress level's high, you got a lot on your plate, like what is it that you can do to ensure that you're staying calm, focused, resilient? Like how does Lucas reset? Like what is your reset button?
That's a great question. It's something that, I definitely haven't thought a lot about, which, and thanks for bringing it to my attention.
That's what I do.
I think, a chair like this might, might be at the very top of my list. Oh man, I'm floating on a cloud right now. Aside from, a massage chair that just rocks your world like this one, some time with the fam.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that just grounds you.
Yeah.
And that's my number one, just some time with the family, the wife and kids, just relax. Throw in a movie.
Yeah.
Well, and just to ignore the voice of like all the work I need to get done.
Yeah.
While that movie's on, it's like, don't forget to do this, don't forget to do that, and just pushing all that out.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a good reset.
Yeah,
honestly.
for sure. Yeah, that's the number one for sure.
Oh man, this is amazing.
So do you like this question? What is an unexpected thing that you've learned being in your industry?
An unexpected thing that I've learned being in my industry. Good question. I think that initially when I got into the music business, we have the internet and Spotify is this massive, platform that if you put your song out, it can just spread across the world. It actually feels a lot more territorial than I initially had realized. Oh man, I'm getting worked. This is unreal. So, I mean, something that, that was unexpected is how important travel is.
Yeah.
I think, I work with a lot of artists from Toronto, and so I'm very tapped into what's happening in the scene here, and I think a common mistake a lot of artists are making is they're just sitting at home in Toronto, trying to get it popping from here, and I feel like that is a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, if you're trying to, create a buzz for yourself in the city, and then I see you at the same club every weekend, I see you at the grocery store.
Yeah.
What I'm going to go tell all my friends about how well you're doing, and
Yeah.
I sound crazy.
Yeah.
You're bumping
Yeah.
around Toronto.
Yeah.
But the second that you go to a major market like Toronto or New York, or sorry, not Toronto, New York, LA, Paris, England, Atlanta, and if you open up for a big artist or if you have a big feature, then Toronto will claim you.
Right.
It's kind of a weird thing that happens here, but trying to build the foundation at home is a big challenge. But if you just go out to one of those major markets and do a feature or open up for somebody to concert, then Toronto's going to claim that's our guy. That guy's from Toronto, he's our guy, right? And it's a strange thing that happens here, but understanding that I think is key. And it's a bit of a shortcut.
Yeah.
I've just come off of a big European tour, and the energy is unbelievable. And just how receptive, specifically the Europeans are. I mean, they were for an opener, they're lining up after the show to meet him and take photos.
Yeah.
And, I'm watching on the back end. There's there's an app called Chartmetric where you can see, you know, all the followers that you're getting, where they're coming from, even on down to Spotify, and like he's jumping anywhere from 50 to 80 followers a show
Wow.
on Spotify,
Wow.
not Instagram,
Yeah.
on Spotify, and that's where it really counts.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, the growth that you experience while you're on tour, and just the amount of engagement, like there's not one person holding up the wall.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
super tapped in. The energy is unreal.
Yeah.
So that was, anyway, to answer your question,
Yeah.
what was unexpected is how important travel
Yeah.
is. You know? And you know, just sitting around being stale in your hometown, you know, it's not it.
It's like getting uncomfortable. Like
Getting
that's like
uncomfortable.
very important in business. Like you got to step out of your comfort zone. You can't just, you know, think all the pieces are going to move in front of you and line
No.
up. Like you really have to.
Motion creates emotion,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
move around.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing this, and this is going to sound silly, but I mean, and obvious, but if you're doing the same thing as everyone else, and you're expecting some kind of different result,
Yeah.
you sound nuts.
Yeah.
You know, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, if you want something different, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
You got to mix it up. You got
Yeah.
to travel. You got to go to different countries. You got to connect with different artists. And like being from Toronto, I mean, we have something kind of special happening here. There's so many artists that have come out of the city that are killing it. Like
Yeah.
if you start running that list, it's like, obviously, you know, Drake, you know, being arguably one of the biggest artists in the world,
Yeah.
right? The Weeknd, Alicia Cara,
Mhm.
Shawn Mendes, Daniel Caesar. Like it's a long
Yeah.
list. Pressa. It's a long list of artists who are coming out of the city who are popping. So when you do travel, and you say, "Hey, I'm from Toronto,"
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, you're from Toronto? Like, what's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
water over there?" Like they're actually like really tapped into like
Yeah.
they want to know. They want to get to know you. That's
Yeah.
been my experience.
That's cool.
So yeah, definitely traveling is
Mm.
clutch. You know, and just connecting with people. You know, it's a lot different than, you know, an Instagram comment or connecting on Instagram. It's important to do that, but in person, like you can't
Yeah.
you
The
can't really
face-to-face.
yeah, the face to face
Mhm.
when you connect with somebody and you exchange numbers and you
Yeah.
have that like kind of genuine moment where you're chatting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a genuine connection you just made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like my first European tour was like 2017, and I've made connections from that tour that I'm still using to this day.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, absolutely, hitting the road.